Chapter 10. The Chosen of Eula. In the heart of the Middle Kingdom, beneath the temple of god Zorath, the Xi council chamber was filled with the flickering dance of dim lights. On the walls, the symbols of the three suns, mirror, spear, staff, were carved into the dusty stones, carrying the traces of the foundations of the faith. Around the long table in the center, names reunited after many years had gathered. As Call approached the table, from left to right sat Zorak, Mira, Tech, Val, Brax, and Ailey side by side. Years had passed since they first met. Now they were all officially counted as 26 years old. Zorak's wavy dark brown hair reached down to his neck, the strands falling across his forehead, shifting with his every movement. His nose was slightly long, his facial features fine, but defined. When he smiled, a faint hollow appeared at the corner of his cheek. His eyes were vivid, always sparkling as if he were playing a game, as though he relished what he would say before uttering it. His physique was athletic, but not muscular, lively, agile, with a humorous build. On his face there was almost always a trace of mockery. Mira had delicate lines and an elegant face. Almond-shaped eyes, soft but alert in their gaze. Her chestnut hair was tied half carelessly. The lines of her brow and the shape of her eyebrows gave her expression a natural seriousness. Her face was small, her skin fair, and even when still, she seemed tense, as if she might react quickly. Her cheekbones were slightly prominent, her lips full but unpretentious. She had the kind of face that could appear both fragile and stern. When her expression changed, she suddenly transformed into another woman. Tech had a narrow, long face, a slightly arched nose, a deep forehead, and light brown eyes. And he scanned his surroundings through round-framed glasses. His short but messy hair and lowered gaze always made him appear withdrawn. His body was thin, bony, and his stance a little stooped, as if always bent over a map. He would not easily be noticed in a crowd, but when he stood still, he left behind a kind of mental hum. His eyelids drooped slightly, which gave him a perpetual air of thoughtfulness and distance. Val, silent with the fatigue of his journey to the western shores, had gathered the team at Call's request. In the dim hall, the color of his skin blended with the shadows. He seemed to be hiding something deep within. Brax, with his short-cut, light chestnut hair and low brows, always carried a slightly stern expression. His broad shoulders and thick arms showed even under his rolled-up shirt. When he let his beard grow, he looked like a woodcutter or blacksmith, yet in his stance there was a faint trace of discipline. His face could be considered ordinary, but his presence was always felt. His muscular build made him the definition of strength in the group. His cheekbones were not distinct, but the crescent-shaped scar on his chin, a remnant from his childhood, was the only mark that remained. Ellie was fair-skinned, with a small chin and petite features, her thin lips and short, upturned nose giving her a childlike air. Her hair was light blonde and short. She was the youngest of the gang. Her eyes were large and glassy blue. When she looked, it wasn't as if she were searching, but as if she had already found. Her body was very slim, almost skeletal, but her energy covered this fragility. Her movements were light, her hands always playing with something, as if she could never stay still. They were all different, yet children who bore similar scars. From escaping the street gang to becoming Imperial intelligence agents, sneaking desserts from the palace kitchen during their years of training in the XY, walking on rooftops at night, getting into fights because of Brax and Carl, Zorak's prank traps, and Mira's endless complaints. her motherly role in feeling responsible for everyone, Val protecting them like a father. Ailey's chemical experiments and childish madness, Tech's inventive creations, those beautiful days they enjoyed together lingered in the shadows. The air was a mixture of the city's street smells and the heavy scent of wood in the room. On their faces were smiles glowing with the mischief of their adolescent years. Call approached the table and stood at its head, his aristocratic aura seeping from beneath his cloak as he looked around.
"Our gang is together again,"
he said with both pride and nostalgia in his voice.
"My friends, it is wonderful to see you all together again. It has been many years since we last gathered."
Zorak leaned forward with his hands on his hips and a mocking grin, then scratched his face with one hand.
"Why have you called us, noble prince? What tricks are you plotting this time?"
he said, winking. His voice carried the ease of long years. Call smiled, then grew serious.
"Our empire is collapsing, both from within and without. There are no comrades more skilled and trustworthy than you."
"Classic Call's sermons,"
Zorak muttered, rolling his eyes.
"What is it this time? Are we becoming priests? Prostitutes? What kind of mission is it this time?"
Call's eyes gleamed.
"We are founding a new subdivision of intelligence."
There was a moment of silence at the table. Then Brack straightened his broad shoulders.
"That requires resources, manpower, careful management of its economy without drawing attention. How could it be done?"
he said in a serious tone. Then, thinking himself too serious, he added,
"But hold on, this won't do. I left woodcutting behind to come here. I'm not very keen on new trades and jobs."
Turning to Call, he added,
"Don't look at me like that, my friends. I was truly gathering information under the guise of woodcutting until you ruined my work. Chopping was my job, and you stole it from me."
He softened his serious tone, the corners of his lips curling faintly. Everyone burst out laughing, the wooden table trembling. Val, however, sat quietly in the corner, his face expressionless. Call intervened with a smile.
"I'm not talking about something so extensive, Brax. We are returning to our gang days."
"So we are becoming thieves."
Mira interjected, frowning.
"Wait a minute, are we to steal like common criminals?"
Tech tapped the table in rhythm with his thin fingers, as though playing an instrument.
"Don't act as if you never did such a thing, Mira,"
he said with a mischievous smile.
"We didn't snatch fruit from the markets as kids. Did becoming a member of the XI make you forget where you came from?"
Mira snapped irritably.
"What does that have to do with anything, Tech? Don't talk nonsense."
But her cheeks had flushed. Then, turning to Val, she said softly,
"If Val is in, I am in."
throwing him a meaningful sideways glance. Zorak, laughing, said,
"This girl's fondness for Val is upsetting our gang dynamics."
flashing his teeth. Mira gave him a cold, threatening look like a predator ready to strike, but her face softened into a charming expression. She was used to Zorak's barbed jokes. She merely narrowed her eyes in a silent promise of vengeance. Carl raised his hand to cut them off.
"It seems you've all missed each other. Let us return to the matter. As for stealing, yes. But as for being petty criminals, I disagree. Great thieves steal greatly and are respected. Small thieves are thrown into dungeons. Therefore, the solution is simple. We will steal big."
Tech, having added a monocle-like device of his own design to his glasses, looked at Carl as though focusing.
"His father saved us from thievery, and now his son makes us thieves again. Did anyone else notice the irony here?"
he said with a mocking grin. Carl smirked.
"That's one way to put it, old friend,"
he said, then put on a mask of seriousness. Taking a deep breath, He stood and spread his hands wide across the table, leaning forward as though to embrace them all.
We will gradually bind the corrupt cults and the underworld to ourselves. It will not be easy. It is enough that we control the bribes, theft, and black money networks flowing to corrupt lords and ladies. For this, XI informants and our resources will assist us indirectly.
As Call spoke, his eyes shifted to Val. Val's blank face betrayed the exhaustion he carried since the last mission. Call hesitated for a moment, then stepped toward him.
Val, what is your opinion?
He asked softly, placing a friendly hand on his shoulder.
You are very quiet today. Is something wrong?
A forced smile appeared on his lips, but the drops of sweat on his brow betrayed his illness. Call's eyes narrowed. He had noticed this change in his friend.
I miss the old Val. Where is the spirit that once bound us together?
Just fatigue,
Val replied.
It will be as you wish,
He said in an unconvincing tone.
Enough, Call. Tell us the mission already.
Zorak said impatiently.
What is really on your mind? What is our first step?
After giving Val one last look, Call turned back to the group. There was a brief silence.
We will steal Eula's sword.
Ailey, the most whimsical of them, had been surprisingly silent until then. Hearing Call's words, she jumped up in shock.
Which Eula? The Emperor? You must be joking. What? The fairy tale hero you told us about years ago?
She asked, even surprising herself with her own questions, her eyes wide as saucers. Of all of them, she had once been the most enchanted by Call's stories. Call nodded silently. Tech frowned.
But which one? There are so-called relics like this all over the world. First, we must pinpoint their locations. Research missions will be required. And what contribution could an antique sword possibly make to our cause?
He said in an analytical tone. Call smiled.
Never underestimate the power of stories. In binding people together, it is stronger than Brax. If we rally the fanatics to our side, we can change the rotten order.
Brax shrugged and growled, crossing his arms over his chest.
I don't think so. I've never seen a story chop wood,
he said. Zorak said mockingly.
It would be better if you spoke more clearly. Your cryptic language makes me sleepy.
And yawned. Call raised his voice.
The power of myth will be our veil and our path. If people begin to say, Eula has returned and sends his chosen against those cursed by the gods, what do you think will happen?
Zorak scratched his head.
With the influence of cult pilgrims, it would spread throughout the empire. Old folks can't keep their mouths shut,
he said. Tech added thoughtfully.
With a few major missions, we could draw attention to ourselves.
Ellie leaned on the table.
The cursed growth of the Mire Sea in recent years will surely add to our legend,
she said in her childish, high-pitched voice. She remembered the tale best. Brax grinned.
I missed the excitement of the old days,
he murmured. Val took a deep breath.
This way, we will also learn if there is truly someone behind all this. It will also draw the attention of other states and factions. They are still wasting time with foolish celebrations and balls,
he said, a flicker of anger flashing in his voice.
Exactly,
said Call.
Perhaps we will also find a way to stop the growth of the Mire Sea. We will make people care about real problems. If we bring the cult, the Solaris zealots, and the people to our side, we will gain the chance to make our move.
Then he pointed to the chest in the corner of the table.
Do you see that chest? Inside are freshly minted counterfeits of Eula's coins. We will leave them at crime scenes as the true currency of the Emperor. Payments to gangs will also be made with these, and in place of the swords we steal, we will leave Eula's commands, and we will spread the legend.
Spreading his arms wide, he continued.
In short, Emperor Eula has returned, my friends,
he said, laughing.
I have chosen you as my chosen ones, to walk the path to the gods with me. Are you with me?
Brax puffed out his chest.
I believe in you, Call. Come on, let's tear this order down with our bare hands,
he said. Ailey whined in a childish voice.
I never imagined Eula like this. I thought he would be more handsome and roguish. You've shattered my childhood dreams, Call.
Running her hands through her short hair. Tech smiled, adjusting his glasses.
Solving this sword riddle is my job. We need to figure out which sword matters and study the cult members closely,
he said. Mira's eyes sparkled.
Where there is danger, there I am. Stepping out of my comfort zone suits me. I haven't been this